To that bulletin there because the Minister for Energy, Josh Frydenberg, has just begun a media conference in Melbourne.
And for the community of the Latrobe Valley. Indeed, Hazelwood first began generating power for Victoria in 1964 and now provides some 22% of Victoria's electricity demand and around 4% of electricity demand across the national electricity market. Hazelwood has helped Victoria become a net energy exporter to New South Wales, to South Australia and to Tasmania. Our sympathies go out to the workers and to their family. And now that the decision has been taken by the owners of Hazelwood, namely Engie and Mitsui, the Turnbull government's focus is in three key areas. Firstly, supporting those affected workers and strengthening the job and employment opportunities across the Latrobe Valley. Second, energy security and ensuring the stability of the system both in Victoria and across the national electricity market. And third, electricity pricing, understanding that affordability of electricity is absolutely critical to the health of the Victorian and national economy and to the cost of living for families. When it comes to the jobs in the Latrobe Valley and the future of those affected workers, the Turnbull government is announcing today a $43 million package. This will comprise $3 million for job active assistance, retraining, other financial services support for those affected workers. I do note that the companies have announced that they will meet the entitlements of their workers in full. This is something that the Turnbull government pushed very hard in their interactions with the companies, both here in Australia but also most recently in my meeting with the CEO of Engie in Paris. There will also be a $20 million component for new infrastructure projects in the region, the details and the priorities of which will be worked out in due course in consultation with the community. The Latrobe Valley will also now become the 10th regional and jobs and investment project, and there will be $20 million attached to that. And my colleague Fiona Nash will work closely with the local community, with the state government, to ensure the proper spending priorities for that $20 million. So in total, $43 million is being announced today by the Turnbull government to support those affected workers, but most importantly, to strengthen the health and the prosperity of the Latrobe Valley. It has to be said that the coalition, the Turnbull government, has already announced and committed more than $400 million worth of initiatives and projects across the defence, road, community projects in the region, and will continue to be so. There will be a task force established between the federal and the state government, and our two local members, the Minister for Infrastructure, Darren Chester, and Russell Broadbent, will be the federal government's representatives on those task force. The second issue is about energy security. And we have said at the COAG Energy Council meeting recently in Melbourne that the number one priority for the Commonwealth Government, for the state governments, for the territories, when it comes to energy policy, is energy security. We cannot see a repeat of the disaster of the blackout in South Australia. So today I have spoken to the head of the Australian Energy Market Operator, Tony Markson, who has assured me in his considered view and that of the organisation, that the reliability of the national electricity market will continue despite the closure of Hazelwood by the end of March 2017. In the words of AEMO, they will have to watch closely what happens from here, but the expectation is that there will be an effective market response and that the next peak demand period after the closure in March 2017 will be in January, February 2018, which means that the market will have some 15 months to respond to that peak period. And the expectation is that Victoria will import more black coal generated power from New South Wales and indeed some hydro generated power from Tasmania, and that more supply will come into the market, and that could take the form of either gas or also renewables. But it's very important to understand that the Australian Energy Market Operator do have mechanisms at their disposal in order to solicit demand if there is a need across the national electricity market, and they have that capacity where they can approach particular generators and commission supply when it is needed. The Australian Energy Market Operator will release a document